Right, Megavan and greetings to another, or welcome back to another showcase video. Um, yeah, this was not an easy thing for me to pull down because I've mentioned it before, but because of my OCD, it I guess what would normally take a regular person seconds, 5 seconds or less to pull down, it takes me like at least a minute or two, to take some of this stuff, and I move it as if I was moving like a sensitive explosive or something. So, but I got, I think, a lot, most or a lot of what I want to showcase for this video. Um, Maybe I may have missed like one or two things here and there, but I think for the most part I got everything. It's May 25th, 2022. So I don't know what I'm going to even title this, but I just wanted to showcase. There's just two videos I have planned, and I thought I would start with this one. The next one would be like a kind of like sexploitation, uh, weird, gross kind of films showcase and discussion. But this one is like the early age, golden age kind of sci-fi films, and maybe talk about why I love them and what I have of some of these in my collection. I'm pretty sure I have a few more lingering about, but um, if these were the ones I immediately thought of for me, then these are the probably the most important ones. There's kind of like no particular order for this, so I'll just go ahead and start off with the this one I should have picked up, and I have it over here, and it goes along with this film. But this is a George Méliès. Always have a hard time pronouncing this, but George Méliès film, one of the earliest kind of sci-fi films, A Trip to the Moon, in its original 1902 colors. I wish this would focus. Come on, please. What is it? See, I don't know why it's like that. How do I get it to really focus? Well, anyways, yeah, this film here, directed by George Méliès. Um, this guy, he's known. Well, if this is 1902, then I'm guessing in the maybe mid-late 19th century, like 1800s then. Where he did a bunch of films, really short stuff, maybe 7 minutes or so. Back then the films were very short, and the film that kind of details his life is Hugo, and it stars Chloe Grace Moretz. It stars Asa Butterfield, and of course, you can't forget Ben Kingsley in that one. Sasha Baron. I can't remember who else, but that girl, I think it might be like Emily Mortimer or something like that. Emily Mortimer, I think, is her name. But this film here is one of his most memorable ones, A Trip to the Moon. A very short film, and there's, I think, at least a couple of versions or a few versions of this where it's at different frame rate speeds. The speed at which they crank the film also determines how quickly the film goes by. So some of them, some versions of the film is maybe just, let's say, maybe like 5 minutes, but say if they crank it slower, then it's 6 or 7 minutes, something like that. But it's more or less the same film, and I believe it's accompanied to. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's accompanied to some lovely piano music, and I love it. And it's very short, simple, easy to watch. I don't know if you can still get this. Maybe you can. This is not like a steelbook edition. There's a steelbook of this, and I wish I got that one. This is by Flicker Alley. And yeah, so that's it. So A Trip to the Moon. It's a great one, and It's completely, it's really science fiction, and early science fiction work of the way they thought things were would be, and how they thought things were on another planet. Another early film, and this is a Fritz Lang film, amazing. Um, Metropolis, the complete Metropolis. There's another version you can get where it's the Marauder cut, and it has his music to it, and I believe it's also colorized. I wish I kind of got that one as well, just to um, have it, alongside this one. This is a great. It's very long, but it's a great kind of futuristic sci-fi film. Not necessarily aliens, but I thought it kind of belongs here because it's almost like a precursor to films like Blade Runner, things like that, of almost cyberpunk nature. And again, it's a silent film, so it's set to beautiful piano music, and I think there's a couple kind of audio tracks you get with this one. One I forgot to pull down. Hold on. Okay, there's a couple of them actually. Good thing I checked that. Like, I thought of one, and then I saw right next to it, there's the other one, and it is. This is directed by Robert Wise. The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original one, and the Robert Wise was the same one who directed Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and even though that film did not do so well, it got bad. I liked the motion picture. I still liked it. Part of the reason why is because I'm a Star Trek fan, and my favorite era are the Kirk era ones. But also, it kind of brought the original crew, back together again, and you kind of see where things went after the series. With Dr. McCoy coming out of retirement, and you get to be reacquainted with all these characters. Dr. McCoy and his fear of the transporter, although I don't always remember him complaining that much, or really complaining at all in the original series, but maybe I missed that, or I just forgot. But because it's something so minute and so small a detail for me, but and then Admiral Kirk, getting used to being captain again, but even though he doesn't, it doesn't really take him too long to reacclimate to that. But anyways, this is The Day the Earth Stood Still, and this is a fantastic black and white slow burn sci-fi drama. And in here there's the famous Gort robot, which served as the being that would decimate all life after Klaatu passed judgment on the Earth. And I recommend seeing this one. There's the Keanu Reeves remake, but that one was not so good. This is the one to see. Just be forewarned that it is a slow burn. Yeah, there's Michael Rennie, Patricia Neal in this one, and so just be forewarned that it is a slow burn film, but I like this one too. Now the next one, oh wow, this is one of my favorite sci-fi films from that early Golden Age era. It's Forbidden Planet, starring young Leslie Nielsen. We have Anne Francis in this one, Walter Pidgeon, and Robbie the Robot. He's a character unto himself. And this one was really cool because they they receive orders. Either there's a distress call or they receive orders to investigate this planet because there are people still on there, and they have to kind of um, like evacuate them or to get them off the planet. And when they get there, um, things are really weird. And Walter Pigeon, and this is his Walter Pigeon's daughter, is harboring a secret, something he discovered. And it does have an enemy, but it's not like an actual, real physical kind of, villain, you might say, or you could say. And this is, great, brilliant, bright colors. And Robbie the robot, he's a cool robot that can kind of replicate anything. Like, for example, you give him a beer and you have like limited supply of the beer. You give him a beer and he can replicate it and make hundreds or thousands of them. And it's beautifully what do you call that, like matte painting backdrops. Now, of course, for most folks nowadays, the younger people, I guess, when they see it, maybe they'll laugh at it or say how fake it looks. But you could say that, or you can just kind of it's fake. You can tell it's a matte painting background. But it's just like with older games and graphics, it kind of for me, and I guess for some folks, it doesn't descend to crap. It sort of transcends, right, to like a work of art. It becomes like an artistic style. So I really, really like that. So Forbidden Planet, do check this out. There's a mystery to unravel about this, and with Walter Pigeon seemingly being a little elusive, and the chemistry between a young Leslie Nielsen and a gorgeous Anne Francis is something out of a classic romance novel, I guess. And this is a good sci-fi film from the golden age. Okay, The War of the Worlds. This one I remember seeing back in the day. This would play every so often, at least maybe once a year or twice a year, maybe, seemingly, when I was young on TV, and I would watch it, almost every time. Even if I came in the middle of it. It has a sort of not a twist ending, but a ironic ending for the aliens, and this spawned a series in the late 90s, War of the Worlds, and this film is very recognizable for their type of alien craft. It's not just a saucer, but it's this kind of oval kind of shape and domed at the top with the long like snake neck armament that shoots the very iconic sound laser, and it just basically disintegrates whatever it hits, and so there's this film. Of course, it's War of the Worlds because these aliens invade the Earth, of course, and something cool. This has kind of like a mystery about it when they first land, because I also remember being not really scared, but just I guess fascinated by seeing they have a type of like a surveillance thing, right? And it's kind of like a camera for them where they used to spy around the area, I guess, before they fully invade, and you see that. I remember that scene. It's been a while since I've seen this one, and this is directed by Byron Haskin, and He also directed another one here that I'm going to show right now. Here we go. Yeah. Robinson Crusoe on Mars. This is a great one. There's a little cameo, not really a cameo, but just a very short role for Adam West in this one, very early on, and I guess it's not really a spoiler to say it's not focused on him, but he doesn't last long. And this is basically just like the story of, Robinson Crusoe, as you know, how he's stranded on that island, but the only difference is he's stranded on Mars. And of course there's now I'm a little confused. This monkey, but I thought he met one of the alien natives, and he called him Friday. And I think this was the one. But yeah, I believe he comes across like a native of the planet, and he names him Friday. And in this one here, you can kind of see some early inspiration for the alien spacecrafts in War of the Worlds, because every so often, the planet will get, bombarded by, alien fire of the ships kind of flying over. And it's just basically the Robinson Crusoe tale. I don't have to go into more detail than that, just with a sci-fi twist. And it makes for a good one. And this is a fun watch. And I think maybe this one together with War of the Worlds, is a good one to watch either, close together or back to back. Okay, and lastly, yeah, I'm not doing so bad. It's like 17 minutes. We have This Island Earth. Now, I know that MST3K did like a riff of this film, but this is not really anything to make fun of. This is actually, to me, a little bit what's the word for it? Not really ahead of its time. Is that the word I'm looking for? The phrase, but it's well, I guess I'll just kind of explain it. There's this alien race, and even though they don't look like an outrageous looking alien, you can just kind of tell they look weird, and they get in contact with this guy. I think maybe it's this dude over here, and what ends up happening is they send them this kind of manuscript or like a book, not really like a Yellow Pages kind of thing, but it's not a Yellow Pages, and it's made of a special metal, and it's instructions on how to build this type of computer, the supercomputer transporter kind of machine type thing. And he takes it in, and even his fellow scientists can't figure out what the metal is, so they build the machine, and then one of these aliens pops up on the screen and obliterates the manual, so no one else can follow in their footsteps and all that. And he wants to set up a special meeting, so he has something to discuss. He needs his help. So they set something up, and he gets on this jet with no pilot. It's just a computer controlled. So back then that's like completely science fiction. So I think maybe the word I'm looking for, there's a lot of it's it follows it's like a pioneer for the future kind of sci-fi films, that type of thing that we see in the modern days, in the 80s and beyond kind of thing. And to get there, and basically he just needs his help, and he goes with the girl in here to go to their planet to kind of stop this war that's happening. And in here you see these kind of brain like aliens. I forgot what they call them, and I don't even know if it's going to have the names of them. Metaluna. I think it's called like a Metaluna. It says here. It says schemed by alien Metalunans. Yeah, it's like Metaluna or something like that. And just a little fun fact about this. You don't really see a picture. Oh, here. Okay, you can get a better look at it right over here. Shit, it's not going to focus, I don't think. Or will it? Come on. Wait. Okay, good. Now that it's focused, hold on. There we go. You see it. And in the movie posters, you see them with like more alien-looking legs, but when they made the film, they didn't have the funding to really make those prosthetics, so they gave them pants, and I think they gave them like shoes or something, so it doesn't match up with the poster, but still. So this is a really good, underrated, and it doesn't deserve to be made fun of, and it was, kind of odd for, with something like MST3K and other shows like it, Riff Tracks and all that. I think they tend to pick like shitty films to do that, but I don't consider this as one of them. To me, it's up here as with these other ones that I've shown, and it paved the way for future science fiction films. And I just wanted to briefly put this up here, even though they're not technically alien invasion films or anything, but I guess it kind of fits the tone. It's the Blob, and it is an alien species. It came from a meteor, starring Steve McQueen. This is a good one that kind of fits this theme, and of course the remake of it put up by Twilight Times. I think this one is like kind of hard to come by now. It's a limited. These are like limited. So this is the remake of the Blob, and also a very good one. And there's a young Erica Leniak in this film, but it doesn't end well for her, and it's somewhat early on. But I guess that is it. And I'll just say, what is great about these, and I guess it all ties in as to why I love films, and maybe why a lot of you folks love films. You all have your reasons why you love movies, whether it's you don't care for the older stuff, or you care for only 70s stuff, or modern day films, and you think the older stuff is crap. I used to know someone who was my DM. He doesn't like black and white old films. He thought special effects are bad, has bad acting. But for me, those older films are like a product of their time. And we may not have time machines in real life, but to be quite honest, these films like these, or just films in general, is like a little time machine unto itself, because it's like a snippet into the past of how the mentality of the people, of how they what their mindset was, what they thought, what kind of special effects were available to them at the time, and they did the best they could with what they had at the time. And sometimes if it's a series or something from the same director, you can see, and especially if it starts to span different eras, you can see the effects getting better and better. Just let's take a look at something a bit more modern. Let's take a look at something like the Toy Story films. And you can look at Toy Story 1, then 2 and 3, and there's an obvious, but yet maybe subtle kind of progression if you just go from 1 to 2 to 3. But say if you skip and just go from 1 to the latest one, or is it like 4 or 5 now? I can't remember. You'll see that. You'll see there's a, it's kind of jarring, so that's what I like. I like how it is a snippet into the past of how they thought, and practical effects especially. You can see that. Let's take like Tom Savini, for example. When you look at his early works with the effects of I distinctly remember him saying he didn't want to do anything past, either he didn't want there to be another film past the first Friday the 13th and he thought the other ones were dumb, something like that. I remember hearing about that kind of long time now. But I know that he did the special effects for at least the first one. He may have done it for the others. I don't know, or maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I could have sworn it was something to that effect, like he didn't want anything work on anything or anything to do with anything past the first one. And it's been a while since I've seen the earlier Friday the 13th. But for example, and he's a special effects artist using practical effects. There's one particular effect where he crushes a guy's head and you see the eyeball go flying out, and when you look at that, it's clearly a prop head, plastic. But that's okay, you can kind of chuckle and laugh at it now, but you can't deny it was like good work, back then, and you can't help but be like impressed with what he was able to do, and people like him were able to do back in the day with those effects, from the 70s and 80s. And then you kind of look at it now where they can add CG, or they just have, even if it's still practical effects, better inventions for the kind of plastic and the mold and to put the detail on the prop, the prop effects thing, to make it look a lot more realistic than what it looked like before. So that head crush special effect can be done a lot more realistically, practically, than what it was back then. So I love that it is a snippet in time, and it is the closest thing to being able to transport yourself into the past. And I guess that's why a lot of folks aren't really a fan of special edition, because it's almost like, it seems like George Lucas is trying to erase the original Star Wars and make the special editions the definitive Star Wars, the way he intended it to be. But a lot of folks, and myself included, like how it was originally before the changes. That's fine that he did what he did, but I think both versions should be made available, and sure, special edition stuff match up more with the prequels, but I think we should have a choice in that, and not just completely erase the old stuff. And that goes for anything. Like, it would suck if just the directors and special effects people went back to the older films and re-edited their special effects and CG'd something different. No, I don't want to see that, and I think a lot of folks don't want to see that either. They want to keep things and preserve, the films in its, original format, and how it was back in the day. And I think that's it. That's all I really need to say. I guess the only thing I could really point out, and I think it's just a really neat thing. And also, if I had my Ed Wood, that would be one I would kind of like flash up here to show. I don't know where it is. It's one of my favorite films, Ed Wood, directed by Tim Burton. And that film is not just like a biopic on Edward D. Wood, but also like a homage to the sci-fi films of that era in a way. One of these here has I think it's a theremin. Is it called a theremin? And I think it's a really neat thing. This one has The Invisible Boy featuring Robbie the Robot. It has the two follow-up films on here, or a feature film and then a TV series episode. But I'm thinking now, maybe it's this one. Damn. Hold on. Yeah, It's not saying it. Oh, it is this one. The mysterious melodious thing. I just recognized it now. Noticed it here now. So it's this one. It comes with a like a virtual theremin in on the day the Earth stood still, Blu-ray, and it's a cool little thing. You have this musical instrument in Fallout 76, and it's kind of like this early, those early 1950s and 60s sci-fi films where it's like a synthesized kind of sound. It has like an alien kind of sound for the for that instrument for the I can't. It's like that kind of thing. And I just looked up here, and another film I forgot to bring up, and I brought it down for that reason. So it's a good thing I put it up there. And it comes packed in this Ray Harryhausen set, and I'm just going to show it very quickly. It is Earth versus the Flying Saucers, and I have this on DVD where it's just black and white. But I do believe for this one you have both in color and black and white, or maybe it might just be in color. I'm not too sure. But let me just move that out of the way. And I think my brother is knocking on the door because he wants me for something, so I have to see. So I gotta make this quick. In color, this might just, I could be wrong, but I think this just might be just only the colorized version. Yes, he presented for the first time in color. But I don't know, it doesn't make sense that it would just all be in color. I would think you have a choice. So you can see it in color. Yes, yeah, okay. Approximately 83 minutes, color / black and white. So you have a choice. You can watch it either in color or in black and white. This is quite a good one too. This is obviously Earth gets invaded by flying saucers, and Ray Harryhausen, who's known for, well, the movies that you see in this box set, and he also did like Clash of the Titans, the 80s one, and various other stuff, using the claymation and stop motion, and hence kind of like with stop motion with these alien saucers. Very well done, and some funny moments in here, and some neat things as well, like with the aliens and their spacesuit and how they see and how it heightens their senses. And there's a part where they're trying to, were they either cloning, or I think they were like jacking the brains of people and replacing them to did something, I think, to put them under their control. No, not when they're done with it. I think they jacked their brain, because when they're done with the bodies, they don't need it any further. So they just kind of opened up their ship and just started dropping, discard the bodies out of the ships. And I remember just cracking up for that. It's funny. But yeah, this is another one that's well worth seeing, guys. So there we go. That's all pretty much of the sci-fi films to me that I really, really liked and enjoyed, and I felt were kind of important in paving the way for the kind of sci-fi films that we see today with the Ridley Scott aliens and stuff like that. Even things that aren't technically like space invasion, flying saucer kind of films, like something like Predator. There's some inspiration, I'm sure, drawn from these older classics, and of course the Star Wars and like Independence Day. I really wish there was a third Independence Day film to finish it all off. I would have loved to have seen them go intergalactic, as Brent Spiner said at the end of that one. But I guess the closest thing to that is if you've seen The Last Starfighter. It would probably be something very similar to that, The Last Starfighter. I didn't put that up here because that's an 80s film, but The Last Starfighter is another good one. Is that the one with Louis Gossett in that one? Well, I'm thinking maybe Enemy Mine. Yeah, Enemy Mine, another one. Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. in that one. Okay, so that's it. Hope you all enjoyed, and see ya.